Welcome to the locker room. I'm John Lim. I got Ariana Stockinger, a high school stud, 1,000-point scorer, Section 1 champ. I got Claudio Valenzuela, multi-sport athlete, coach. Who's better in sports, men or women?
One's better than the other. They're just different.
It would be a fun competition.
Welcome back to the locker room on the Winning Moments. I'm here joined with my main man, Claudio, and my main girl, Ariana. Look at that big smile she got, Claudio, filming here today. She's ready. She's ready for the locker room conversation. So let's kick it off for Ariana, since you're so ready for the crowd here in this beautiful jean jacket. By the way, Claudio, I need to step up my game for fashion-wise now that I'm filming with her. I can't be so bland. I feel like I'm just like an accessory of the facts with all her beautiful outfits that she puts on for the locker room.
Oh.
I'm proudly rocking my 250-year anniversary shirt
saw that.
for the birth of America.
The Birth of America. You know what's wild about The Birth of America? There's a show on Netflix right now, The Experiment of America. I think that's what it's called. And it's like a 5-part series, and it talks about, how America became America. And I didn't remember when you learned about 1776 and the Declaration of Independence. We were at war after we signed the Declaration of Independence, okay? We were at war for like the next 11 years. We were still fighting for our independence, okay, after we signed the Declaration of Independence.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. The famous Delaware crossing with George Washington was not till after we signed it, while we were still at war, when basically the Brits owned still New York, okay, where we were at. They took over our capital in Philly. We were still fighting for years, and we might have lost the war had we not got the French to come help us out. And the French were like, listen, we're not doing anything. We're not helping you until we see that you can win. And once George crossed that river and won a couple of battles, then all of a sudden the French were like, all right, we'll come help you. And next thing you know, we are now 250 years old here in the great country of America.
Wow. I did not know that.
Me
It's
either.
a great documentary. You guys should both watch it. Yeah.
I usually like to learn my history from my National Treasure movies.
I got you. That's a great show. I wish half that stuff was true.
Yeah.
And it might actually be
Wait,
true.
you don't think
Who
it
knows?
is true?
I don't think all of it's true. No way.
Not the secrets of the secret book or whatever it is?
There might be a secret book. I might rock with a secret book that only the president can have. I don't think they store it in the library, right, of the National Public Library.
I've never seen it.
You've never seen National Treasures from Nicolas Cage?
No.
None of them? Not even what?
No, I've never seen it.
What TV are you watching, lady?
What?
What do you watch?
A lot of things.
Blue's
All right,
Clues?
what's your
He's
She definitely is the Blue's Clues generation. Okay. The
I
question would
did
be,
watch Blue's Clues a
does she
little
watch?
bit.
Yeah.
She still does.
With the original brother or the new brother? Because
Original.
I didn't even know there was a brother.
So Blue's Clues, okay, because I used to watch that with my niece. They had two. Basically, they had the original guy, and then I don't know what happened to him. Then they brought his brother in to be like the second host. It's like having two
wow.
Mr. Rogers, but
Wait, his actual brother or his
actual brother? No, no.
in the...
His actual brother. They wanted him to look alike. I don't know what happened to the original guy. I don't know if he just left. He got sick. It wasn't like some negative controversy, not like Jared from Subway, but they brought his brother in to film it, and now he's the I mean, it still is, I guess. I don't know if Blue's Clues is still on, but yeah.
Ariana, can you fill us in on this?
I would not know, Claudio. I would not know.
Yes, I like it. The sass is coming out.
It's coming out. It's
No.
coming out. Okay. Listen, you can't mess with her in the locker room. She is no holds bar.
First of all, that's what the locker room is about. The locker room is where we jovially joke on each other, because then when we
Right.
go out to the battlefield, then we have each other's backs. But in the locker room, Blue's Clues.
Gotta let loose. Gotta let loose. We definitely. Do you know the Blue's Clues song?
No.
Yeah, me neither. Me neither.
Ariana? Let me
I
put the
actually
camera
was
on
trying
you.
to think if what it was.
Stop it. It's in your
If
playlist. But
if it came on, I would sing
isn't it
along.
when people call you that's
I
your
would-
ringtone?
It's a number one ringtone, the Blue's Clues
See,
ringtone.
the only kid show I watch is Elmo, just because my nephew watches that. I know every single song to it now.
What's your favorite Elmo
So-
song?
Oh, there's too many. They're all
Yeah,
good.
come on, you got to give us a taste
We
now.
play them like every day in the house.
Yeah, but listen, you just said you know it. Now you're on the spot.
You're
You got
asking me
to
to
say
sing?
it.
What's one song? No,
So,
no
yeah,
one's asking you to do
give
anything.
us a few notes of one
probably
song.
the Sesame Street theme song.
What's the theme song? I've
It's
never heard
it's
it.
the what is it called? I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it's called the Sesame Street theme song.
Yeah, that's probably
But
what it's called.
how does it sound? How does it sound? Like give us some something. I can't even get it in my head right now.
Me either.
I mean, I've watched Sesame Street like since Oscar the Grouch was
You
in
know
there.
what's funny? I think I do have it in my head.
Wait,
Do
what
you?
is-
But
can you-
I feel like she's trying to bait us.
no, I'm
She's
like,
like, I'm not singing, but
No,
I'm going to
I'm
make
try-
these guys sing if I'm quiet enough.
I know the other ones. I'm trying
Give
to
us
think.
something, Claudio. Give us a little
No.
give us a little hint of it.
This is an Ariana show. Let's go, Ariana.
The only one that's in my head right now is the la 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 Elmo's. Where that's the only one that's in my head, and it's sang in my house probably 20 times a day.
That's
but-
you know what we need to do, Claudio. When she has moments like this, we need to get her a Elmo doll, like a safety
Yeah.
Elmo doll, so she get the Elmo doll on her lap, so she can open up if she, when she's feeling like shy. Okay.
I'm really trying to think of that.
By
song.
the
I
way,
can't.
so wildness for our shows. My son gets into a little fender bender yesterday in Rye, okay, at his girlfriend's house, and the car is they live on a
Wait, was it parked?
no.
Making sure.
No, he didn't park car. I wouldn't put it past him at times. According to his rims, he might hit. He hit park curbs. His rims are park curbs. Well, a car's pulling up as they're driving by. Right, we're sitting there talking to the police. Car pulls up, says hello to his girlfriend's father. He's like, "Hey, man, I know you. You're the guy from the Winning Moments." And I
to
was,
you?
yeah, to me. And I was like, all right, this is pretty cool. It's pretty cool to say that. Not pretty cool. I'm sitting here for a car accident, a little fender bender type thing, and I don't want the people who at the fender bender to think like, oh, this guy's famous. Yeah, would definitely make his son's fault in that case. But yeah, he pulls up at that, and then he was like, I love all your shows that you guys do. I really appreciate what you do for the kids, this and that, whatever. And I'm like, thank you. And he's like, I just saw your new show. I was like, what new show? He's like, In the Locker Room. He's like, who's the girl on In the Locker Room? She's great. Right? I was like, it's Ariana.
This isn't true.
No, it's totally true.
This isn't
Elmo?
true.
Side of the road, okay? Cars
Wow.
are starting to come up, and he's like, yeah, I love your new show In the Locker Room with that young girl you have there. And I'm like, yeah, it's Ariana. She's a Section 1 hero champ in this conversation. All right?
Hero.
She
Amps it up so
right.
much.
I do. Okay.
By
Listen,
the way,
it's
Ariana
true.
is so gassed right now. She's like, yo, that's right. I'm going to up my contract.
Yeah. Listen. People are watching and they're listening, and they love the new atmosphere we have in the locker room. So
Oh, so what you're saying is they didn't ask about me?
No, they didn't. Clearly, they did not.
Did you see how quick? Yo, machine gun.
Machine Gun Kelly's out. She was like, okay,
Oh.
you want me to be up here in the locker room? Let's just roll the sleeves up. Okay, now I'm ready to go. And bam, she's coming for you.
I like it.
Yeah.
Finally, some competition. Finally.
Wow. You gonna let him talk about that? Finally, some competition.
It's
About
fine.
time she woke up.
Are you saying it because it's Ariana? Or are you saying because it's a girl?
This is what he does all the time.
We'll leave that answer for a little later. We'll see how she performs.
Wow.
But we all know the truth.
Come on, listen. If you're not gonna stand up for yourself, you gotta stand up for all the other women out there that Claudio just like basically like, hey,
Claudia's a woman hater.
That is crazy. That is crazy.
shots fired. Okay, big shots fired in that one.
was-
Okay.
That's getting cut.
That's not across the board.
Wow.
That's a straight.
That
shot
was under the
fired.
table. That was under the gut. That was ooh, Ariana.
Remember what you said in the last show?
I did not expect that from you.
Men versus women.
I did not expect that from you.
Oh, she's pulling out receipts.
I thought highly of you.
Clearly not.
I thought that was a great kidney shot. I thought she hit you right in the kidneys.
That was
She-
below the belt.
She put him down for a standing 8 count
That was
with a body
below
shot.
the belt.
With the body shot.
Now I'm gonna have to feel the wrath
Claudia's
of
upset.
women. The wrath of women. Here on Women, I Love You. I apologize for my co-host here. She's very rude.
He says
And she speaks lies.
she speaks lies. She's not telling the truth.
No, she is not.
Yeah, well, listen. In the
Whatever.
locker room, you got to bring receipts. You got to bring receipts for the things that you say. So We'll see if Ariana has
That is
receipts
the,
later on.
Ooh, this is gonna get cut out. This is the difference between men and women.
Bringing receipts?
I just said. Do you remember what you said last show?
I don't.
That was that was a receipt.
I don't even know. All I know is that no receipts are held. We duke it out right here, right now.
That's
Receipts
interesting,
are for
though.
another time.
It's interesting. I think what she just said though is the difference between men and women, right? Not the receipt necessarily, but she goes, "Do you remember what you said last show?"
No.
And Claudia was like, "No." That's the difference of men and women, right there, right there. Hey,
We
did you remember?
remember.
Did you remember to bring this home? No. Do you remember it was so and so's birthday?
No.
No. Do you remember it's our anniversary? Yeah, I do. Did you get me a card? Yeah. I'm just gonna run out right now. I got to pick up something. I'll
in
be
the
right
car.
back.
It's in the car.
Yeah.
I gotta go move the car
I
first.
feel
gotta
like
go
the
move the car.
majority of my parents' arguments are my dad not remembering anything.
Yeah,
My
can
mom's like, I
relate.
just told you this, or like, yeah, it's
I
the
can
majority
relate.
of the arguments.
It happens to me a little bit.
My
too.
dad says if it's not that important, I don't retain it. Like, okay.
So I'm not that bold yet.
I like
It's
it.
like I have so many other things going on. Like
I'm not that bold yet. I have to be like, oh, my bad.
Nope. Listen, she's right though. She's
It's
right.
funny,
Like,
though.
do you remember it? No, I don't remember.
yeah.
It's just it's like men with directions. Okay, like pre Waze and the rest of it. All right, like before Ariana was born, the argument in the car would have been like, "Do you know where you're going? I know where I'm going. Do you need help with directions? No, I don't need directions. Okay, I know where I'm going to get to." And then 4 hours later, you're like, "Okay, you still know where you're going?" No, we've been driving around, in a circle. We've seen this place 4 times already. But whatever defect we have, you're right. We are our memories are not great, and we like to think that we're good with directions, when we're not. That's why we invented Google Maps and Waze. Okay,
Yeah.
some things men invent for men, and Google Maps and Waze invented by men for men, so they don't screw up. Okay, ever arguing about directions again.
I would have been lost without Waze. I'm horrible with direction. So bad.
I'm gonna contain my comments for the rest.
No,
of the
come
evening.
on, man, you can't hold back.
I feel like both
He's
of you
gonna
are
say-
baiting me. Both of you are
Baiting?
baiting me.
you got come on. You
Why do you think women don't know what direction? 'Cause I don't.
I
so.
never said that.
I'm horrible with direction.
Well, I don't think young people know directions anymore whatsoever because
Well, yeah,
you don't
because
have
you
to.
didn't have to. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is true.
It's like when I was a kid, if you asked me for a phone number, I could tell you everybody's phone number, like if my brain was the Yellow Pages. And now, 1 second, let me look it up.
Right.
You know, it's just your brain actually, because it needs to operate on so many tasks. If it can forget it, if it can create a shortcut, so scientifically your brain creates shortcuts. That's why, like, if you're really good at like times table and math, and they give you a calculator, your brain knows that the quickest way to get an answer is to pick up this device. Your brain now knows the quickest way for you to get an answer for the phone number is to look up the phone as opposed to trying to remember it. It's weird that way. The only thing that breaks that down is music for some reason. Some reason our brain on music, we can remember things and trigger a memory from like a song. Like the song comes on, you're like, yep. I remember Claudio's wedding.
Yeah.
I remember when Michael Jackson hit at Claudio's wedding and we were rocking. It triggers like some weird thing in the brain.
Yeah.
Versus like, hey, do you remember Claudio's wedding? Nah, man. I remember saying hello. I remember having some drinks and I forgot the rest. And the song comes on, you're like, yeah, I remember that dance he was doing. Okay. Big Claudio doing the twist, right? Getting down to the floor.
You know, it's funny bringing it back to the map thing. So my wife gets super mad at me. So I'm excited to let this air out, Catherine. So she gets mad at me because anytime we go somewhere, and you know, we put things on the map. I don't like putting things on the map if I know where I'm going, or even if I'm generally know where I'm going. But she's always adamant, put it on the map. That way you can see traffic patterns. Which, to her credit, that is, since I've started doing that, I do it now even to come to work, just because it will tell you if there's a lot of traffic on this one street, so you can go a different route. Not because I don't know where I'm going.
You live 4 minutes from work.
That is true. I don't do it for work. You're right. But if I go down to Westchester or whatever, I definitely do because, you know, there's 2 major ways to go, and one of them, you know, if a branch falls, there's a pileup that goes, you know, all the way to like.
I'm not knocking you. When I have the
North
kids in the
Connecticut.
house, I use ways to figure out which bathroom to use traffic control wise. So I get it. I get it, man. First app in the morning.
So I put it on, but what I get screamed at is because I never follow it. If
That's my dad.
If I think I
That's
know
my
where
dad.
I'm going, right?
My mom gets
I will
pissed.
I will let it kind of take me, and then I'm like, oh, I'm used to going this way, but it's trying to take me this other way, and I'm like, I don't want to go that way because from my knowledge, that's longer, or it's usually more traffic, or whatever excuse I make in my mind, and I'll deviate. And she'll be like, "Why are you doing this?" Why? And then God forbid, it takes us a little longer to get there.
Right.
This is why, because you got off
she
the
has
map.
every
blah, blah,
right.
blah, blah.
She has every right.
So going back to the original portion of the conversation, I think I do that because genuinely I do like maps. Our generation had to learn how to get around with physical maps. You don't even know what that is, but there used to be a book, right? And you opened it, and it would give you like quadrants to the bigger map, and you could find like how to get. So and you'd have to kind of memorize it or write it down, and that's how you would get from place to place. There was no looking in the map on your phone. There was no like getting a Waze to tell you the fastest route.
At the next roundabout.
It was right,
Right.
Yeah, it was literally that, and I kind of miss a little bit of that because I enjoy maps. So now that we have a map in our phone, I enjoy looking for routes myself. So that's how I navigate. But my wife doesn't like that because she's like, "You have a map, just press the map." But no, woman, I enjoy this part. Why would I, if I enjoy this part, not do that? But
So I don't disagree with you. Like I love maps too. We have a big map here in the office. In that case, I love maps themselves because my dad would used to give me the map in the car. Maybe there's some psychological bonding that I would do with him. The map and I'd be the navigator. And those maps in the books were tough because when the page ran out, you had to figure out where it went. And so, the next page.
Which might not be next to it. It may be like a couple of pages down.
To where you got to go. So I love that. Plus my memory triggers where I need to go and so forth. However, I 100% agree with Catherine when it comes to why don't you follow it?
Right.
Because the traffic patterns
Yeah.
that are out there, I trust Waze unconditional trust with Waze when it comes to traffic. Now, granted, it puts more miles in your car and you go around, but it's like you always say, you'd rather drive the long way than sit in traffic.
100%.
Waze is the most accurate mapping system. That's why Google bought them, right? So Google Maps bought Waze. Biggest mistake Apple ever made was not buying Waze. But they bought them for the purpose of like the traffic patterns. All right, so you get the two best mapping systems on the planet. You know what's a crazy story about Waze? The guy who built Waze, an Israeli guy who came up with the idea for Waze, right? He's got a great book. Talks about like look for the problem when you're inventing something. Find a problem and then build a business around the problem. Kind of like what we're doing here for the Winning Moments. We see the problem in youth sports, so we're building our business about giving the kids recognition. Where we don't have that anymore for youth sports, making sure that you can relive the moments by simply tapping the bracelets and the patches, making all that content come alive and live someplace. He has a book that talks about the same thing. I think it's called Find the Problem. Anyway, when he built Waze, there was no maps. There was no digital real maps when he built Waze. So how they built the map while building Waze.
Wait, when did he build Waze? Because I thought the original map, wasn't the original map like Yahoo or MapQuest?
Yahoo MapQuest, right?
So there was something in place.
There was something in place where they pulled old maps, right? But there was no like how Google drives around and videos your house and all the roads, right? There was no direction side of it because MapQuest would take old maps and they'd basically build out maps for it. Waze, the original Waze, okay, the drivers created the maps. So he leveraged us driving, and it wasn't here in America for a minute. It was basically in Europe. But he leveraged us driving as you drove around. It built the actual map the same way Google Earth was built by driving around. So the pictures of all your homes and the 3D version of the world is basically built by Google for driving the world. Google has literally driven the world to build Google Maps and Google Earth. Waze did the same thing. Just imagine, like, I have to give you directions to go somewhere, and I'll give you directions to go somewhere, but I'm going to use you to make the directions better, so I can build an actual map that doesn't exist.
Input all the traffic accidents, all that. On
It's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling to me how they put that together. Kind of the same way when my brain gets messed up when you think about like the Lincoln Tunnel in New York.
Yeah.
Like how you built this tunnel
under
the water while the current is still happening with no like dam in that scenario.
Well, I think it's under the ground part. It's not like in the water. I think it's under the ground at the bottom of I think.
No, it's under the water. So what I learned about bridges, okay, the Brooklyn Bridge is a fascinating bridge. One, because it's been around so long, and it's like one of the first real like suspension bridges in America, and it's lasted. You know, I mean, it was built over 100 years ago. But they have underground welding, underwater welding that you can do, which is mind blowing. You think about like fire and water,
Right.
and although they would bring big pillars and so forth, but they would do welding under the water, which is just, I mean, listen, these engineers back in the day are absolutely geniuses for some of the things that they create. But the Brooklyn Bridge is another good documentary to watch. How they built the roads for America. I mean, listen, we take for granted now how easy it is to get around. We're talking about Waze, like literally on your phone, a map that talks to you, which I think recently they had like no, it was Minions. I think they had like an Elmo. Like you could let Elmo speak to you in your Waze because you could change your Waze voice.
Yeah, you
Pick your
can.
character in Waze.
That's in Ariana's car, you know?
It's in her car, right? She has Elmo telling her around. Okay, I
No,
can't
I
do the
have
Elmo
mine
voice.
shut off. I have the voice shut off completely. I can't hear it. When it interrupts my music and like.
I'm
So
like
I just
that,
have
too.
it up and I just look at it. I can't,
Just
no
look at
one
it?
So
talks to
again,
me.
difference between my wife's car and my car. Mine is silent like yours. Because I can just visually kind of know.
Mm-hmm.
She needs hers blaring, and it is the most obnoxious, thing when that voice comes on. Make a left on this right. This right. You heard
Like
me?
if I'm familiar with the area, like I can't have it on. If like it's somewhere completely new and I'm like lost, I'll turn it on, but barely. I can't.
So
It's annoying.
Claudia, what accent does she have on there?
I don't know. It could be a British one.
Yeah,
I'm in trouble.
tells a lot about the accents. Yeah.
I'm in trouble.
My friend in Poland, his wife loves the Arabic accent. So in her car, okay, the Waze has an Arabic accent.
Wow.
Okay, as it's driving around, it's crazy. I was in the car, and I was like, okay, turn left here, and I was like, Igor. He's like, it's my wife's car. Okay, so, all right, whatever floats your boat.
Yes.
So we're learning a lot here about you guys and directions, and dad and mom as well.
Right.
Okay, beefing about directions. A lot of a lot of similarities here in men and women here in the locker room today. So let's talk about learnings, okay? Because right now we have the World Cup going on in America. It's fascinating because when you think about world games, you think about the Olympics typically. But the World Cup is probably, I mean, I think it is.
Well, I guess if you're in America, you think of it that way.
No, I'm saying if you think about like I think the world in general, when they think about like you think of a single event, especially because interestingly the Olympics happens every 2 years. People think it's every 4 years because it is by season, but you basically have the Olympics every 2 years, right? 2 years you have the winter,
Winter
then
and
2 years you have
summer.
the summer. So it's really every 2 years for the Olympics. They keep it top of mind.
Well, World Cup is very similar. World Cup is every 4. but
Every
then
4.
Each conference usually happens every 4 as well, but in the
In
two-
different orders.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have like the Euro Cup, right?
South American Cup, African Cup, the Asian Cup, they all kind of happen in between, obviously.
So those are more like almost like continents, right?
Right.
In that scenario, even though with the media today it is worldwide. But when you think about football or soccer, depending on what side of the pond here you're on, it's the only sport that garnishes the world. The World Cup is the world's view, right? You have over 1 billion people. I mean, arguably 2-ish, maybe to 3 billion people, eyes on the World Cup for one sport only. Right? One sport and
Ooh.
one gender.
I think there's another one too. I think tennis could be up there. I mean, there's not like a World Cup, but they have their Grand Slams and
Yeah, you
they're-
got Wimbledon.
they're-
Wimbledon.
they get watched.
Wimbledon. No, Wimbledon.
That's how we are.
Wimbledon. Yeah. Okay. Right. Well, there are. But to
Yeah,
your
the
point,
Australian
in
Open.
sports, you have some of these things. Like in America, we have the Super Bowl, which has some worldwide views now that
I
football.
think now it has a huge worldwide view.
I think basketball is the number one sport, American sport.
Yeah.
Basketball is the number one American sport. The finals. Okay.
You think it's more than Super Bowl
yeah. Globally, yeah. Yeah.
globally.
Yeah, David Stern did a phenomenal job putting us in China, putting us in Europe. Now we have a lot of players, especially the All-Star game, what they did about the world game of the All-Star, Europeans versus Americans. 100% David Stern back in the day, expanding basketball globally. You know, it's technically, I think it's the third or fourth sport. I mean, cricket's up there because,
Yeah,
you know,
they're
it's
pretty
played in
popular,
India,
too.
very popular. And listen, it's in a country that you have almost 1.5 billion people.
Themselves.
So by default, it's like giving yourself 4 rebounds. You missed 4 shots. We give you 4 rebounds, okay? But we don't count the 4 shots that you missed. All right? So same concept. But yeah, I think it's cricket, football, cricket, then tennis, you're probably right, is there. But basketball as a worldwide sport is extremely popular across all countries,
Yeah.
especially because of European players. I mean, those guys have changed the game significantly, both on how you play, because they play it differently. Look, we have a Euro step. All right, think about that. We have a Euro step in America because of the European players. So it has changed the game a lot. We can't blame Michael Jordan for walks anymore. We could blame the Europeans for 3-step moves.
Jesus,
Okay.
the traveling is wild.
It is wild. And in high school, they don't call it the same way. But here nor there, talking about the world stage and the World Cup, I think about how in the world, pun intended, they garnish that. Like how in the world do you have such a great fan base? Here in America, by the way, like New York's been phenomenal. All right, you see the fans. I got to watch a Norway game. Who did Norway beat to before this last game? Who they beat? Was it CIV? I think the Ivory Coast.
Ivory Coast?
Ivory Coast. They beat the Ivory Coast, which was fun because this family was down here. I was in Long Beach. The family was here from Norway, so you could just see how much, right? The American sentiment of like America is great to be at, and all the energy, plus all the Norwegians doing the rowing. I mean, I find it.
That's pretty cool.
The rowing is
Well,
great.
I like those Nordic countries. They'll always bring something like a different element to the World Cup. Like the last time it was Iceland, they had like the whole clap thing. You know, and they
Those
always-
Vikings are great.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like it's cool because it's a very unified type of a thing that even if you're not from Norway, I want to do the rowing. Woo, you know,
It's like New Zealand, the famous rugby club where they do the haka. Is it called the haka?
Oh, yeah, yeah,
right.
yeah,
The
yeah.
haka. Yeah. Like that's wild to me.
That's pretty
The
cool.
haka. Like every
That
time I
is
see
cool.
that, I'm like, all right, it's like a Rocky movie. What are we doing right now? Okay, let's go do something and play some sports.
now is that like a Polynesian chant? Because it's not native to New Zealand, or isn't native to New Zealand?
I don't know if it's native to New Zealand or
It is pretty
Polynesian,
cool.
but it might be native to New Zealand. But it is of that culture.
Yeah.
Of that region's culture, the haka. It's like our national anthem almost, I think.
But it's
or
like
something.
very like sentimental and like
But it's
emotional.
it's very passionate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, listen, they banned it. They banned the haka in I think it's Hawaii. Or it might be New Zealand or Hawaii. No, it has to be New Zealand, I guess. Maybe it's Hawaii. I'm not sure. But they banned it. I think it's New Zealand. They banned it in like their Congress, right? Parliament or Congress. Forgive my ignorance of what they call it. But they banned it. And I remember seeing like a senator or one of the politicians, she did the haka at an assembly live. And they were basically telling her like, okay, you know it's banned here in the assembly. And she went through with the entire thing. And the fierceness of her face,
It's crazy. Yeah.
it's wild. Like they're preparing for war.
It's very
Yeah.
it's very intense.
It is very intense. Okay. So
And by the way, I think it is a New Zealand thing.
it is New Zealand, right?
Yeah, it was written for New Zealand, or for their lands. Yeah,
Yeah. Listen, I would say the haka to me, is that how you say it, right? Haka?
Yeah.
The haka to me is probably the most intense
yeah.
Yeah.
chant,
No, for sure.
okay, of all sports.
It makes you question: do I really want to go to war with these guys?
Seriously, especially because it's rugby. Okay, like the last person you want to get into a battle with is rugby. If I had to choose, all right, maybe not MMA. MMA, I would definitely not get into that battle. But if you're in a pub and you got to choose what sport to get into a fight with, all right, rugby is number one. No, okay. If you see a rugby player, if you're in a pub with a bunch of rugby players, and there's going to be a battle that's going to happen, nah, man. if I was with my boy in a pub that had a whole bunch of rugby players and he was drunk talking shit and he was about to they were about to fight us, I think I would punch my boy in the face to knock him out, like shoot the hostage in the leg to save the life. I'd punch him in the face so we wouldn't have to fight the rugby team. I think that would be the case. If you had to pick a sport of people you would not fight with, what sport would it be, Claudia?
Including like the martial arts stuff.
Let's put those guys out. Let's put out boxing and martial arts where people could kill you, okay, with like a twist of an arm, or you can't use your elbow anymore because they basically broke it. Put those two sports out there. Let's go team sports. Yeah. It's team sports. Team sports, what team would you not, you'd be like, all right, man, you win.
Probably women's tennis. Just joking.
Yo, Billie Jean would take that racket and beat you. She would beat you. She's like a swordsman
do a
with that
lot of
racket.
damage with that racket.
She is.
No, I think rugby.
Yeah.
Those dudes, they have it. First of all, they have to have a different pain tolerance than everybody else, because everything that they're doing, like every other sport, they're just doing it without pads and they're doing it full contact. I don't even think there's like a. I almost feel like they have no rules as to how they can like get at each other. So, one, their pain threshold is I think bigger than most other sports.
Yeah.
So I would, and on top of that, these guys, every one of them, they're all like not only like brolic and big, but beefy. So it's not like you're like picking these guys up and chucking them to the floor. Like they're so just like thick. One swat is knocking you down.
My man, they got pads on them. They just call them muscles.
Yeah, no.
Their muscles have muscles. Like literally, like they lost their neck. Their neck starts like here, and basically just comes out like shoulder pads, but it's just pure muscle.
It's crazy. I agree too with that.
Yeah.
And even
So rugby, you wouldn't take a rugby
that's
girl
like-
now?
that's the sport that came to mind right away. It was definitely rugby.
Yeah.
What's that woman's name? She was on Dancing with the Stars a couple seasons ago. She plays rugby.
Well, I think I know
don't
who
know
you're
why I'm
talking about.
blanking on her name, but like the build of her body is insane. Like,
Claudio will pull it up. He'll
oh
pull it up.
my
for
God,
us.
like she's a beast. She's
Her name is Ilona
yes,
Mayer.
yes, yes, that's her.
Alona Mayer.
Yeah.
We'll definitely put her
Yeah,
up to see this
mean,
body in
yeah,
that case.
Her
She's-
shoulders are they're pretty big.
Yeah,
Yeah.
her shoulders have built-in pads called muscles.
They don't. She doesn't need shoulder pads to go into. Oh my God, is this a? We need to put this picture up. She's actually holding somebody.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
That's
You know,
it.
nor-
That's dancing. Yes.
Normally they'll hold the women up there.
No,
not
no,
her.
no,
She
no,
holds-
no, no.
That's wild.
Yeah, no,
that is
she's a
wild.
beast.
She's like, give me him right now.
Yeah.
Put him right on the shoulder. Okay, that's wild. That should be a TikTok challenge. You know, like the boyfriend girlfriend TikTok challenge. I think one was like,
Oh
can you
my
throw
God,
your girlfriend
yes.
up on one shoulder? She should be doing a TikTok challenge right now. Like, listen, ladies, okay, bring your man over here, and we'll put him right up on the shoulder with the one push. That should be the new TikTok challenge.
Yeah.
Okay, and see if you can pull that off. So wait a minute, Ariana. So you're saying that if you were in a pub, all right, let's stay with the European terms here for the World Cup and honoring that case. If you're in a pub right now, we're in a pub over there across the pond watching some sports, and some group got rowdy right now. Some woman got rowdy, and she was a basketball player. You would throw down.
Depends.
You see how quiet she whispered into the mic as if depends.
I mean,
Depends on what.
I don't like confrontation as it is.
I'm not instigating her anymore.
I don't like confrontation as it is, like especially with strangers. But yeah, like if she's 6'4", like bigger, yeah, I don't know if I would go near her.
I'm not gonna. I wouldn't. If this girl was upset in
You
the
know.
bar, I don't think I'm going up to her either. Like,
No.
I mean,
she
even
doesn't
if
like
she wa-
confrontation. She doesn't like confrontation, okay, with strangers. All right. But if you watch her on a basketball court, okay, she's like, I don't know your name. I don't know. Strangers, okay? Half
that's
move, elbow
different.
getting up. Uh-huh. Put her in between the lines. That's what we got to do, Claude. If we're ever in a pub with Ariana, there's a problem.
blow the whistle.
No. Just like a Kate and Clark's commercial, right? From the logo.
Oh, yeah,
Where they
yeah,
put the
yeah.
logo everywhere. We just got 1 second, and we just got to take some chalk, draw a line. Okay, put the other woman in the box, in between the lines with Ariana. You do not want to mess with her in that case. Outside the lines, she just like it depends. I don't really know if I would ever. Yeah. Okay, in the lines, I will take you down. All right. I don't
Yeah.
care, male or female. Come on, Sebastian. Come on. Your dad told me you want to play one-on-one? Let's go.
Let's do
All
it,
right.
Sebastian.
Yeah, yeah.
How do you feel about that statement, Ariana? Is that true?
But
In the court, in the paint, you're a different person.
yeah,
Why?
that like just what he said. I feel like outside I'm very like that. I don't like confrontation. I don't like
What about inside
The art-
turns that switch on?
just like the competitiveness of the atmosphere. Like just it's way different. It's just I don't even know how to explain it.
Which is wild, okay, when you really think about it. And I agree with you. Like, there's something in us athletes that once you turn that switch on, you're like a different person. There's a Rocky, not Rocky, I was going to say Rocky. There's a Sylvester Stallone movie, I think it's called Over the Top, where he's arm wrestling. Okay,
Switch the hat
right?
backwards.
Switch the hat backwards. You know it.
She
He
does
switches the
not
hat.
know about this
No, She does
movie.
not know about the movie.
Obviously
Okay.
not.
All right.
Huge, great soundtrack too.
That movie was made before her parents even thought about having
It's not like an
another
80s,
daughter.
80s or early 90s movie, right? It's a long
It's
time
either
ago.
late 80s or early 90s. We'll look it up. It's called Over the Top,
Yeah.
where he basically was arm wrestling. And whenever he had to arm wrestle, because he was a trucker, he had a trucker hat on before trucker hats became cool. And then he would turn it around. And we did an interview, like, all right, how do you get into it? Like, well, I turn the hat around, just turns the switch in my head.
Right.
And then he wins. Great 80s. It's got to be 80s because it feels like an 80s movie. Great 80s movie in that scenario. So I want to talk about, we talked about the World Cup and the world watching sports and so many things that we learn from this. I want to talk about what sports has taught you and or teaches you that the classroom doesn't. Because I feel I've learned so much from sports in the game or off the field or off the court for that matter, that I wish they had, for my kids, I wish they had classes. Like a class that team sports can teach you that don't. Like let's cut out maybe not biology. You probably need that. Let's cut out some history class, okay? All right, and put in a sports learning class. What's something sports, Ariana, that's taught you that you didn't learn in the classroom, and if you can change the system of teaching, you'd actually put in the classroom?
Definitely the number one thing. Like when I was younger, I was a very kind of quiet kid, a little shy, had to break my shell, which I'm kind of the same now a little bit, but sports, like the leadership that I developed and the voice that I developed that sports gave me is crazy. I feel like I became a different person. That's why I became a captain and people looked up to me. I was probably one of the loudest voices on the court. I was never, ever like that. And that's definitely the number one thing that I can think of that I changed as a person, to be honest, when I started playing sports. And now that I'm done with sports, like those characteristics have carried over greatly. Now my friends are like, you go over there and say something to that person. Okay, you go on the phone and you call and I was never that person ever. But sports have just brought that out of me. Like I blossomed when I started playing sports.
So you feel sports gave you your voice?
Yeah, I 1000% agree with that.
Yeah, because you can't say you're shy while you're sitting here in the locker room on a podcast that we put out all over the world on YouTube and 17 other different social medias,
Yeah.
including Spotify and Apple. And make sure you like and subscribe because we need it. Claudia, what's something sports has taught you that you would, if you were a teacher, you'd put in the classroom?
Well, what she's saying is accurate. It's 100%. And you said it as well. Like it gives you your voice, right? So actually, as you asked the question, I kind of wrote a couple of things down because when you break it down to the most elemental things that you can when you think about sports and you think about you as a person, it's like it gives you confidence. It gives you the belief in yourself. You know what I mean? Like these are things that we take for granted and we see it with as with older kids and older people that maybe haven't had those experiences, and their own self-confidence, their own self-worth, their own self-belief in themselves is not the strongest. And it's a lot of times it's because that hasn't been reinforced. And I think that's what sports does. I mean, just think about picking up a sport, any sport, when you were 4, 5, 6, whatever, and you're learning it. We all struggle when we're learning. But as we get better, we start believing that we can do it.
Right.
We believe in ourselves that we can be good at it. Then you start becoming a little bit good, and then you're starting to give yourself like even more because you're basically giving yourself your power. And I think that's what sports does. It gives you your power.
I think to your point about the confidence, I think there are smart kids that are in classrooms that have confidence. Like, I mean, I was really good in math. So I had confidence in any time that we did like a math bee in that scenario. And in spelling, I was horrible. Okay. So like in the spelling bee, I was always not so confident. But what sports gives you is that at least team sports and no coach, like no one would beef me up before the spelling bee. Like, hey, John, you don't have to worry about being embarrassed. You're going to do the best you can. Come on, man, let's pick it up. I'll help you with the word. But as you said, it's not only the confidence it gives you, but I think the teammates around you and/or coaches make sure that you keep that confidence. Because like you said, like you're 4 or 5 years old, 6, like you can barely tie. Some kids can't even tie their shoes.
Well, you're learning. You're learning the world. Period.
Yeah. Learning the world through sports. Learning the world through sports. I said this the other day. Like sports is the new religion. And usually, like you think about the world has basically been built off of religion, depending on what book you want, right? The Bible, the Torah, the Quran, whatever book the Buddhists used. I'm not really sure, but yes. But to your point, like sports being the new religion, that confidence level that you get and being able to sustain the confidence, I think it's the hardest part for me. Is like I can get confident in a moment, but how do I sustain that throughout the entire time, especially when you're doing something that you're not good at, like for me, spelling. Thank God for spell check. Otherwise, so okay, you wrote down a couple of things.
Yeah,
confidence is one of them. What's another thing sports has taught?
The one I didn't say out of the 3 that out of the 4 that I wrote down, and it's in the word. It's in the word of team sports, right? And that's learning how to become part of a team, working within a team, learning how to know your role, excel, lead, be a role player, all of these things. Like, I don't know. If you've never done a team sport before and you're faced with having to work in a team as a part of a team, I can feel that can be a difficult thing because if you don't know, you're probably thinking about, well, I got to do me. I always got to do me because there's no other way of thinking if you've never experienced what it truly means to be a part of a team and having to do your part in a field of 11 for soccer in a court of 5. You guys have 5? Yeah, 5 people.
Each, yeah.
You know, or whatever it is. You know, you don't know what that feels like. So that I think learning how to work as a team, work collectively, is probably one of the biggest things that you get out of a team sport environment.
I completely agree, Ariana. If you had to change, how could you learn as a team in a regular classroom?
I mean, I guess there's team projects and team things you do in the classroom, but it's never, I don't think it will ever be the same as being on a sports team. Like, just what goes on the court is just again, the atmosphere, like the competitiveness of the sport you're playing, like dealing with people's emotions on the court, like that can't, I don't know, it's very hard to do that in a classroom.
I don't think you can replicate it. Talk about emotions, right?
Yeah.
And replicate. We were talking about the World Cup and Norway, right? Norway's having a great run in the World Cup, and we were talking about before, like beat the drum and row the boat. Okay, like literally row the boat, and they got the stands rowing the boat. They got people in the bar rowing the boat. They got people that have no idea what they're doing, but they're just rowing the boat. Okay, because they see everyone doing it, and I think the emotion.
Yeah.
One of the things about sports that you can't teach, that emotion that sports just gives us as a fan, as a player. I don't even know where that comes from, first of all, because people are obviously passionate about other things. But I feel like people who have never even played sports, who've never had that opportunity to get on the field at team sports, whether their parents couldn't afford it, okay, or they just weren't athletic, or they didn't put them in, all the things that happen, not because they didn't want to, but they just couldn't, it wasn't available, but they're huge fans. You never see someone who's more passionate, angry, happy, sad. The level of emotion that go on during a game. What do you think? Claudia, we'll start with you. What do you think contributes to that? Us as humans, in a psychological way, like, what is the reason that we are so passionate about sports? Using Norway as an example, regardless of the sport, I don't follow football, aka soccer, the way that you do. Okay, knowing all the teams and the players and so forth. Every time you talk to me about it, I feel like I'm talking to Coach Ward about basketball plays. Just nod in my head like, yeah, of course
First
I
of
know.
all,
Of course I know.
Coach Ward's knowledge goes beyond anyone. Like he could talk to me about soccer, and I'd be like, "Oh, what? I didn't know that."
Yeah, Mr. Elephant. We're going to call him Mr. Elephant from now on, okay? But yes, like you're very passionate about the sport because you follow it and so forth. But I'm watching these World Cup games, and I'm at the edge of my seat, like not even rooting for who's going to win, whether it was Norway and Brazil or shootouts. Like, I don't even care who wins the game, okay? Because it's not my country or my team. I don't know the players. But I'm at the edge of my seat screaming at the TV as a nice play happens or a great save that England was doing last night from a penalty kick. Like, it's bananas. What do you think contributes to that?
Well, I think it's identity. At the end of the day, it's identity.
Ooh, good word.
Yeah,
Good word.
I think it's people as humans when we fall in love with something and we follow it for a long time. And think about it, sports. Most of us pick up sports at a very early age, and it stays with us through our most crucial developmental years, where we're growing and still being very passionate. And at that point, you're still in your mind, probably if you're into sports, playing as if you're going to one day make it. Right. And it's not until, life hits you the right way and you realize that only a very small percentage kind of move further and further, that then you've already been identified. So it's already part of you. It's already part of your DNA. So now once you're no longer in the competitive aspect, it's all you have. So the passion intensifies because now, I'm not out there proving, fighting, being a warrior. Now I'm living it through the boys that are, from my country, from my club, the things that I follow. You get what I'm saying?
I totally get what you're saying. And matter of fact, remember when we did the interview with Greg the Beast? He talked about the identity. Like, he didn't know what he was when lacrosse was coming to an end. He was Greg, who was the number one face-off man in the world, lacrosse player, and then he had to find himself and how lonely that was until he turned that around. So to your point about identity, I think that's a great word to use. That's why Claudio was known as Catherine's husband when they introduce each other. So he takes proper identity in that scenario.
Correct.
But for shout out to Catherine. For you, Ariana, what do you think? What do you think makes us so die-hard fans, passionate about the sports?
I think identity is a great word. Kind of just piggyback off of what Claudio said. Just when you're playing a sport for, a long period of time in your life, and again, that's what you know yourself of, and you learn so many things from this sport, and you love it, you're so passionate about it, and then you watch a sport or a team and you fall in love with this team because that's all you know. You're kind of pouring your passion into this team now, but also what it's like to be on a team, to play, you kind of carry that over to a team now that you're watching. Yeah.
And I mean, think about this, most, I'm going to put myself out there, right? Most times when you follow a team that die hard, a lot of times it's been ingrained in you from probably birth. Your parents, a dad, a mom, an uncle, somebody that influenced you a ton that said, hey, I am a New York Knicks fan. So it's almost like, all right, well, I'm a baby, so I guess I'm going to rock with you because I don't know anything different.
Right.
I'm not really forming thoughts. And then through your passion, I'm learning that, yes, the Knicks are my team, right? And I think a lot of times those diehard sentiments come a lot of times from the people that have influenced you at a young age. I am a Real Madrid fan, and I am a diehard Real Madrid fan because when I was a child, it is the team that my mom adored. And that is the only reason why I navigated my way to that. And I like other teams here and there, but the Real Madrid team will be forever my team. And it started with my mom loving it, which made me watch it, me love it. And before you know it, now it's my team. You get what I'm saying?
So we gotta give credit for your soccer career to the fact that you're a good mama's boy. That's good.
Always.
Good,
Always.
good. Shout out to mom for that because
Oh, Mom Dukes.
you gave a lot of winning moments that unfortunately we couldn't record because we weren't existing at that point.
There were no cameras back in the
There
day.
were no cameras, no camera. Pen and pencil. Like, let's see if we can draw his
We'll
face.
sketch him out.
Sketch him out. Okay. Back in the day when you were playing with the big
The pigskin.
leather ball.
It
The
was-
pigskin.
it wasn't
the
even a
pigskin.
ball.
It was the leather. The pigskin. Okay. But no, I mean, like, we all have that story. Actually, Claudio questioned my diehardness as a fan.
my gosh.
All right, during the Knicks playoffs, when I sold my ticket, okay, to not
Oh,
watch
right.
the number one comeback in NBA history, and still to this day, Sebastian will ask me, "You think my dad regrets it?" And anyone who knows me, who I've talked to, like, no, because he got to watch it with you, and he got to watch it with Maddie. If I had my kids there with me, I would have went to the game because I already had the tickets. But for me to go by myself or with a buddy, and knowing that Maddie is my daughter's a diehard Knicks fan, right? She knows more players than her brothers, and she's in the family group chat. Like, did you just see that basket? Did you just see what's happening? Okay, Brunson's taking over the game. We're gonna win, and she's leading the family group chat as if she's a 25-year-old human. She's 9, and I'm just like, okay. We got a diehard fan on our hands here. Not like her dad. I sold those tickets. I watched it with my family, and it was great.
By the way, also sports unifies. That's such a.
I was just gonna say that.
I mean,
like
you kind of just said it because your
unification,
example is
yeah.
great. You know,
unification is a great thing, and that's why America is genius. Okay, they're genius for keeping the unification of us as Americans. No matter how crazy we live today in the world of the political division that we have here today in our country, probably the biggest division, I think, is the biggest division since what I imagine slavery was at that point with Lincoln. Like, we're so divided as a country, but sports, okay, unifies us as Americans because they play the Star Spangled Banner, okay, our American anthem before every high school varsity game in this country, and some they might play it in JV or lower, but here in our world, in New York, every high school varsity game, they play the Star Spangled Banner. So you have your anthem, not just in the pro games where you see it, but you have it early on in high school. You're never forgetting it. As a young kid, you're talking about your brain's not developed till 26. You're hearing it. Or you play basketball, you're hearing it 20, 30 times. Okay? Because a lot of schools, we don't do the Pledge of Allegiance anymore. So it used to be the Pledge of Allegiance was how we get the young kids in the classrooms to remember that hey, you're American or you're living in America, and America is the greatest, right? And you're so young, you're not. Back when I was younger, there was no like cable TV news shows, so it wasn't so polarized publicly. Where now it's social media and things you can hide behind. You could say whatever you want, but the Pledge of Allegiance, which you said every day, got you thinking like, okay, it's great. Like I pledge allegiance to the flag and United States of America. It was great. And then we cut that out. But the Star Spangled Banner, because of sports, every game you hear it. And I mean, you can only.
it's like the best
Unification.
amp
Yeah.
up song that you could ever. I mean, you're talking about it, and I'm literally I'm feeling the feels that I had when I was in high school and in hockey specifically. It's very, very, I don't know, it's very different because you're in a very enclosed space. So it gets amplified.
Yeah.
Right. And then when I was in college, I used to love like a night game and putting that out there, and it's like chilly and you're hearing that and you're just standing with your brothers. And you know, it's an awesome feeling.
It's oh god.
Ready to go.
When I
got
used
chills.
to
I got
feel
chills as you say it.
was
Chills.
crazy. My heart was out of my
Yeah,
chest.
in a
the
gym.
Whole,
In a gym is the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, basketball.
like-
Basketball gym, you hear everything.
yeah,
Okay.
I'm shaking my knee the whole time. I'm
Ready. Like
just
ready to
like,
jump.
like
I was just gonna say, like I've never seen a player, no matter what sport I've covered or played in, where the player is just like standing still. Like your body's moving. That song is on.
swaying, yeah,
You're
like-
swaying. Your body's moving. I mean, obviously on the ice, like you're rotating. Like on the basketball, some people are holding arms together. Okay, moving. Like even in the stance, like you're sitting there. Like it's amping up us as fans and parents. Some parents way too much amp down parents. Okay, some of the parents need to amp down a little bit. But yeah, like it's a genius thing that I think we've done as a culture. right? And his country, sure, but as a culture, even around the world, when they play the national anthems, like I love watching the World Cup where they put the big flags out, okay, that cover the entire field, celebrating that we are one species here, but multiple cultures and multiple fans. And I will say that I think I've been to football games around the world. Like I was in Bayern Munich. I watched a football game in Bayern Munich. I watched one in Poland where the one in Poland, you have to get an ID card. So I'm there. Okay. I have no like, what they call it, a PESEL number. That's like our social security number. All right. Or like a business ID. I have no PESEL number at this point, but I had to get an ID to get into the stadium, which by the way, okay, you have to walk through like these, like the subway gates that we have here. So you can't rush in, and you have to walk through a metal detector, okay, because these people literally kill themselves.
It can get wild.
It gets wild, wild. I mean, we've seen all the bad things that have happened, like stampedes and things of that nature, where you can't get out and people actually die. And you see these fans that are passionate. They don't sit down the entire game. And yes, they're definitely going to get into a fight if they clash. Even when I left the stadium once in Poland, they have two separate entrances. Like you can't walk out this way, okay, because you're going to do that. But when I see, and living in New York City has declined, in my opinion, compared to where it was, just 12 years ago. 12, 13 years ago when Sebastian and I were running around New York City, it was a completely different city to me than it is today. But when I see New York City during the World Cup, and I see these fans all over the world, Mexico City, another city that has somewhat declined over the last 20 years from a place that you would normally want to go to and feel safe about. It's amazing how the world has come together, and now we're one big world again. Just one big harmonious world. The fans are great. They're passionate, but they're not fighting. You don't see it in the streets. Like I remember watching the New York Knicks win the championship, and in the city we were beating up Spurs fans.
Yeah, I was just thinking.
We just won.
Yeah.
We just won the game. Why are you beating the Spurs fan up? Okay, one, he's a fan. He should rock his jersey. Two, it was a dad with the son, so that hit me really, really hard.
Yeah.
In that scenario, like if I was with my son in some other city, and you wanted to fight me while my 12-year-old son is there, that's wild. Bad representation of New York. I'm a New York City kid. I hate seeing anything bad about New York City because I love New York City. I think it's the greatest city in the world. But a credit to the football fans and the soccer fans and the World Cup, because it's just fun.
Do you know what my favorite part is of the World Cup so far?
Which part?
I love, especially when the U.S. plays. It's really only when the U.S. plays, and the entire stadium is singing along with the anthem. And because they've been winning, they're singing, their little song they sing at the end of each game that they win. And the whole stadium is doing it. And that's got to be the most. I mean, I've never been in front of a 80,000 person crowd singing or chanting to me. So I can only imagine that the feeling that these guys must get when they hear either the national anthem or at the end when they play their song. And it's just louder than anything that you can, because 80,000 voices will be a lot louder than a lot of speakers,
Dude,
That's cool.
Just imagine playing it in front of 85,000 people.
I couldn't imagine.
And
I
and
couldn't.
arguably, let's say 85,000 people and hundreds of millions of people, right? Because even though the world, you probably have 3, maybe 4 billion soccer/football fans out there. I think the guy from Norway, Claudio, who's the guy from Norway? Holland?
Holland.
Holland.
Braut Holland.
Yeah. I mean, this guy's having a World Cup insanity. But when he was interviewed, he's like, you have 200 million people rooting for Brazil and watching Brazil. That's what he said. And, they only got like 5.5 million. And he's like, just knowing that there's hundreds of millions of people, not to mention 85,000 people in these stadiums watching the game is just wild.
When the U.S. plays, there's other teams too that bring that many people. But when the U.S. plays, it's got to be like 90% of the stadium.
I know. It's got to be.
Is rooting America.
It's got to be.
And it's amazing. It's got to be the most amazing feeling to sit there and hear these chants,
Before we wrap up, that's another thing that sports gives us. I like playing in front of a crowd. I play better in front of a crowd.
Me too.
Okay? Like we just had the July 4th party. I had to play a 2-on-2 basketball game at the house every single year. They do it. Okay? And I was in no was not ready to play basketball at that particular time. I was done with my basketball for the morning. In the afternoon, and I'm here to relax and celebrate the 250 years of America. And I was basically forced to play a basketball game. And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to pull this off. I can't lose. I can't lose at my house. But I'm another year older here, okay? And these kids are just young and faster and getting stronger. I don't know what to do. I said, all right, hey, you need to bring a bunch of people out here. There has to be a bunch of people out here in this half court that are watching. So I feel like if I'm going to lose, I'm going to hear it for the rest of the day. Okay, not by the two guys that we're playing against, but from all the people watching and their cameras out. And next thing you know, it's going to be like, John's an old man, which is partially true. And I lost. But that feeling of like everybody watching you, rooting for you, I don't know how it is for you, but Ariana, you were saying like you play better when there's a bigger crowd?
Yeah, 1,000%. I would like.
Why? Why does that? What do you think?
God, I don't know. I just, like when I walked out, like you'd go in the locker room like 20 minutes before the game, we'd do our little locker room talk, and like then we'd all like run out and come out, and like if I saw like not a big crowd, I was like, oh God, like I hated it. Like, or like my parents had to be there every game, and I think they've missed maybe 2 collegiate games, and like they've never missed a game. They traveled everywhere, and like if they weren't there, I had this like sick feeling in me. I was like,
why do you think it was so important for your parents to be at every game? What did they give you? What did they give you that you felt that way?
Like, well, one, I don't know. Like, I don't want to say comfort when they were there, but sort of. Like,
that's a good word.
Yeah.
Parents should give comfort.
Yeah.
100%. That's our job. But in the games, you felt more secure, I would say, if mom and dad were there?
Yeah.
Now, what if it
1000%.
was only one parent? Was one parent okay, or you needed both parents there?
I needed both parents there.
Yeah. There's no shame in that. Yeah. I think that's beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, especially, I mean, having both parents with you, you're very lucky to have that. I think the fact that you say those words like, hey, if I'm going to dominate a game, I need my mom and dad there.
Yeah.
I think that's great. I hope my kids feel that way, Claudio, as they play. Okay, like, yeah, I'll play better if knowing that my parents are in the stands, which is phenomenal. Shout out to mom and dad for that.
And one last thing, I always felt like, and I know certain circumstances of things going on and like people have different lifestyles, but I always like felt terrible when like kids' parents wouldn't go to the games. Not like just miss one or miss a couple because they had things going on, but like the kids who like never had anyone there to support them, like, I just like, it hurt my heart a little bit.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And listen, as a parent, especially high school is difficult because of the time they have the games.
Right.
Right. So you have to leave work early or not. I mean, it's different now. A lot of people work from home post-COVID. But in the earlier days, like my dad never saw me play a high school sport he didn't even see that. Well, because during the week he couldn't make it. And all of our games were during the week. So yes, unless I played on a weekend where there was a chance he could come, but otherwise he couldn't because he had to work. And my mom, same thing. So she had the kids. She couldn't come to a high school game.
Right.
So they never got to see me play soccer in high school. Never saw me play baseball or basketball. I think we had one like soccer game when I moved to Westchester. It was like a night game, right? Because they played under the lights. In the Bronx, they didn't play under the lights for probably many reasons in that scenario. But yeah, then he might have came to that one. But other than that, like, I get it. So it does suck when those kids don't have their parents there to watch it. My dad never missed a Little League game when we were there, okay? But yeah, never came to a high school game. So Claudia, for you, like what gets you like playing in front of a crowd? Does that get you amped up? Do you play better in front of a crowd, or you're like,
no, of course. It's exciting. It's a thrill. It's almost like your opportunity to show what you got, you know?
Right.
So it was always, I look forward to it, you know? I mean, she kind of said it all. It's really that. It's that feeling that you get that you're going to be able to showcase what you got, and you're going to be able to battle in front of all the people that love you, that cheer for you. So it's definitely exciting. I mean, who doesn't like? I honestly, I don't know who doesn't like playing in front of a crowd, because it's almost like the whole point of the whole thing. We're not playing in secret.
All right, I'm gonna give you guys a rapid fire, and then I'm gonna close out the show. So we all now admit that playing in front of a crowd and an audience makes us play better, right? We almost need that energy to play better. Rapid fire, Claudio, you first. Home or away crowd? Which one made you amped up more?
Home.
Ariana?
1000% home.
Oh, I like the away crowd. I like coming into your house, beating your ass in your house, and then taking that bus ride home with all my boys. Like, yep, we came, we saw, we conquered. Right, little Jay-Z like scenario in that case. I love playing in the away crowds. We're just like in the enemy lines, if you will.
Yeah, sometimes now that you say that, like as a team, we like sometimes like played better away, which was kind of weird. But like personally, obviously, I love a home court. Family, friends, everyone we know there. So,
I mean, you did say, what do you prefer? I obviously prefer playing at home in front of my home crowd and in front of
Right.
people that love me.
Yeah.
I mean, no, who doesn't like going to somebody else's house and beating their ass? Everybody
I
does.
feel like that's probably one of your favorites. Probably one of your favorites.
Yeah.
Just-
I mean, it's not good when you lose and then you got to go home with your tail between
Right.
your legs. Like, God damn, we lost this one.
Especially as a Harrison kid against Rye.
but-
Going to Rye to beat Rye. Yeah, as a Harrison kid.
But as far as favors, I mean, who wouldn't? Of course you want to play at home.
Yeah.
It's everyone that. Plus, you're gonna get. It's your whole entire. It's like the extra man on the field or on the ice or whatever. It's your home crowd, so it feels good. It supports you. Even like if something is not going the way in the game, they will uplift you and they will kind of carry you through. That's why I prefer the home crowd.
I don't know. In this day age in sports, some of the you cannot yell, scream, speak your mind in sports and high school sports. In this day and age, some of these home crowds are. You might as well think you're in a library. People reading a bunch of books here while we're watching the kids play. It drives me nuts.
oh god.
Like, you don't have to taunt or say negative things, but show up. You're here. Bring some passion, okay? Go white, go blue, go whatever color your team is playing. Like, cheer. What the hell are you here for? Just to watch and spectate? You could do that on TV.
I agree.
Anyway, that's why we play the game. That's why we're here in the locker room. Another great episode in the locker room, talking shit. Although it was kind of peaceful, this one here. Claudio could not get Ariana to drop the elbow as she would normally do if she was posting him up. Listen, by the way, we still need the cornhole game. Let's get this on the schedule because I have DMs asking who's going to win. This has become like the battle of the sexes cornhole tournament over here. Is Claudio going to take the cake or is Ariana going? And I just bought a new cornhole set, so we'll do it at my house.
Perfect.
All right. Or bring it right here we'll do it on the streets of Stanford.
I gotta be
if we have
honest.
to.
I don't know if we should do this to battle of the sexes. I feel bad for Ariana. I don't want her, feel humiliated.
Oh
and down
my
or something.
God.
Wow. Wow, you can't. Oh, we can't end the episode on
Like-
that. You're gonna take that, Ariana?
We'll just see after the game what the results are, and then
Silent assassin. She's pulling a silent assassin.
yeah,
Shaking
that's
in my
usually-
space boots.
Silent
that's usually
assassin.
what
All
I
right.
do.
We appreciate everybody watching and tuning in. Please like and subscribe. All the followers don't just help us, but they help all the kids that we represent here on the Winning Moments, giving them exposure so they can keep creating those winning moments that we love watching and enjoying and covering. And that's a wrap.
Almost heaven, West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountains, Shenandoah River. Life is old there, older than the trees, younger than the mountains, growing like a breeze. Country roads, take me home.